All right, everyone, welcome back to the Open Division here on the HeroesHype channel. I am Bahamut. With me is InanimateJ. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. A little bit of a short break as the tournament bracket has to catch up to us. That last match kind of went through at a breakneck pace. Two of the fastest tournament matches of HOTS I've seen in a while since my first trip into the Open Division, where I think it was a 9-minute Braxis holdout in the first round. Yeah, it was a great introduction to Heroes casting right there. I think it was my first game ever casted for HeroesHype. It was a straight up 9-minute walk in the park on Braxis holdout.
I was casting for this game that the two teams didn't really care who went to the finals. And so they had a gentleman's agreement that I didn't know about. So they did like reverse draft one game, and then they did God, I can't remember what they did at another game. And like there was like a Braxis holdout match that was like 3 minutes long because everyone drafted specialists, and it was just who could get to the core first and win the game. There was no fighting. They picked, and it was just like, so I was literally sitting there like the draft was going on, and like someone picked Medivh and someone picked like Sylvanas. And it was just like, oh my God, like this is just, what is this draft? And then you just saw them, no one was fighting, and they were just pushing lanes. And it was just like, please, someone explain this to me. And Twitch chat was just loving it because they were just like, this is the best. Like this guy has no idea what he's casting or even how to cast it.
Yeah, you really at that point you're just like, it's a foot race to the core.
Yeah.
It's like we're just gonna call this one like a horse race.
Exactly.
And they're getting around the bend towards the last keep and the wall's down. Yeah, I can imagine how I would deal with that.
Well, it was also like one of the games, like I would be set to like spectator mode. And so I couldn't see their chat. So they would actually be doing like reverse draft and telling each other what they were drafting and stuff. And like, or like doing like drafting for the other team, and I couldn't see it. So I didn't even know what was happening the entire time. So like there was like a game where like it was like 4 supports and like a Zarya or something like that. And it was just like, I was like, what? And then like that game went on for like 25 minutes. And then they like, when they finally got to that third game, which was the decider, they were just like, that was, I think, how they did it. They did that, race to the core. That was just too good. But just to catch everyone up. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I actually kind of wish I'd actually seen that, because now I'm sad. That sounds like an amazing series.
I have to dig up the VOD. I have the VOD somewhere. I need to find it and either get it on YouTube or at least link it to you, because it might actually already be on YouTube. But just to kind of catch everyone up right now, we just had our first series between CCC and Order of the Sleeping Dragon. CCC took that series 2-0. They're moving on to the winner of MPC versus Team Maroon. Maroon was the winner of that, so we are currently getting teams, I believe, into lobby. We're going to get going with all the map bans and everything. But I do want to note, for everyone in stream, this will take us into another matchup, which I think will be our final matchup of the evening. After this one, if I'm not mistaken. But the winner of that, so currently it's Glow Gang, which is Glogan's team. They'll be versing the winner of X-Force or Wrong Orc, which I think Wrong Orc has actually got some like notable players on it too.
I just looked at it. Nesper, Talking Tree, Zaynite, Nintorai, and Zergling. That's actually a really good lineup, and I'm really curious to see which team comes out of that one. And looking forward to casting that in the future, regardless of who comes out of that game.
So if Wrong Orc takes that series against X-Force, which there's not even a score currently for that, we'll be seeing, we'll be getting the winner of that matchup, and we'll find out after we do ours. But we are currently getting ourselves set up. I know someone's asking in Twitch chat, so I'll say it again just so in case they missed it. Team Maroon versus CCC. CCC were the victors of the last series we just casted, so we're sticking with CCC this evening. And then we'll potentially have some really, really cool some games that are gonna. I mean, this next one, it's gonna be great, but we're gonna be getting, the Glow Gang. I mean, that's always fun to see if they're gonna be bringing out the clamps, if they're gonna be pulling any sort of fun Hero League strats, if we might even see a Murky. Like that's sometimes a thing that can happen, but. We currently need to get set up for our matchup here, and I gotta say, CCC, if they play the same way they did in the last game, I think that they'll be progressing further in this bracket.
It's a little bit hard to say because you and I both don't have a great idea as to what Team Maroon is going to bring to the table. I think we'll probably see that into the first couple of rounds of the draft. If CCC go the same route, if they have Yogurt on the Diablo, I think that's going to be probably the key part of their of their draft strategy. And if we see the early priority on the Diablo, then you get a sense that they're probably going to go the same route that they did in the first series against OSD. A solid front line, disruptive front line that they had with the Leoric and the Diablo, or with the Arthas and the Diablo. You've got that CC, you've got the lockdown, you've got the damage reduction from Leoric, especially in game 2, but just the depositioning ability of Diablo and Yogurt's mechanical skill on the Diablo in those 2 games was very, very high. Basically what I'm expecting out of top Open Division teams, really, in that your timing is good, your positioning is good, you're not getting caught when you dive in looking for those charges onto even a frontliner and just trying to pull them even further out of position when they try to come in looking for a flank on the back line. And I think that's one of the key things to their success, because that front line is doing such a good job. The back line has free reign to do whatever they want.
And that's one of the things that we saw very, very often was, that backline was able to be fairly safe and almost poke and play. For example, the last game, Triple C playing with that Hanzo. I mean, that getting out in so many situations where even I think there was like 2 ancestral healings that went off, and you noted one of them being in the top lane. And I honestly, the way it looked to me was that Rhaegar was just burning the cooldown before they died. And then Rhaegar died, and then there was another fight in top lane where I want to say Hanzo got the ancestral healing, and then had to maneuver around, but still played from that back lane. Definitely got a lot of poke damage out. So they definitely know how to protect their teammates and team fight, and that's a big aspect of communication and just synergy of knowing the player and knowing how hard they're going to be pushing, how hard they're going to be brawling into the enemy team. And if they're like, oh, I can get this kill, and the support's like, I know I can heal you, that's without actually even having to say that, that's a big thing for some teams. And I've played with enough friends that it's kind of that same thing where it's like I kind of expect this level of play from them, and they do the same for me. And if you're at that echelon of play, definitely we are going to be seeing some really, really big initiations, especially with Yogurt on that Diablo. I mean, we keep saying it, but they were a playmaker. They definitely set that team for a lot of good initiations and a lot of good fights.
Absolutely. The Diablo initiation into pretty much every team fight that Triple C took in that series was on the back of Diablo really finding a target, somebody over that line of scrimmage, for the skirmishes, and just pulling them completely out into the open where the rest of the team could collapse down on top of them. And I'm expecting more of that type of play. And if I'm Team Maroon, if I've been lurking in the Twitch feed for the last little while, maybe rewinding this VOD to see what I'm running into for my opposition, I might think about an early target ban onto the Diablo, because a lot of their play was hinging around that initiation.
That is true. And the other thing that I was curious, I was like, what maps are we going to be going into? And I was just, I was looking back at my notes over here, and I was like, Dragonshire, I wouldn't say it's like it was a weak map for the members of Triple C, but definitely OSD, they had a lot of really good plays on that map in comparison to the Tomb of the Spider Queen game. So I was kind of, thinking we might see that going along those lines, but I'm currently looking over. We have Sky Temple Band as well as Dragonshire. So we won't be seeing either of those. We'll be figuring out who's going to be picking up what, and we'll be getting our lobby set up here in a few moments. I'm just really, really excited for more games for the Open Division.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to be involved in this production, and I'm eternally thankful to HeroesHype for the opportunity to become involved with the HGC Open Division and just Heroes Esports in general. Like I said at the top of the broadcast, I've been a fan for a long time. I've been playing for a long time, and to be able to be a part of the story of these teams as they work towards maybe finding a way into the Pro Division at the end of the season, being one of the 2 top teams through the Open Division season, getting into that crucible, it's a special kind of feeling, because you can say that you were there when that team was making its first steps towards a potentially long Heroes of the Storm esports career.
It's crazy. I mean, this could potentially be the stepping stones for any team to exactly that, move on to the HGC Pro circuit. And that's obviously I would say the majority of people's desire at this point. And we talked a little bit about it at the start of the stream. Some teams just come in here just to learn. They'll get bodied, but they'll definitely take out a lot from this experience of going back, watching the VOD, or just looking if they get I can't even say the words. If our stream passes through their game, going back and seeing what the casters have to say, because that's a big aspect. It's a different perspective. I mean, your level of play is different than mine, and my choices that I would make and the things that I would do is different than what they would do as well as yours. So it's definitely always good to see, a different perspective. Even if I'm 100% wrong, it's definitely still always good just kind of have that conversation, open up that door, and consider things that maybe Azmodan is the best character in the game, and they're only just going to buff him more with this rework.
The rework is fantastic. I was playing around with it on the PTR before we went live, and I mean, your mileage may vary when you're playing against AI, but it was a fun time, to say the least. I was a fan of Azmodan for a long time, especially the babysit builds where you get the really tight team compositions where it's just like pull the wave, prep the wave, clear the wave, stack damage. I think actually my favorite brawl was the Azmodunk brawl that they had near the end of Heroes of the Dorm, where it's just like stack up, insta-gib each other, and it's just fantastic.
You'd hit that like 13, 16 minute mark, and everyone would be like, the teams would be sitting like above 1k damage, and it's just like anyone, it's almost just like OHKO every single time. Like if they get a Blackpool plus, it was such a fun brawl. It was a little long, but still at the same time, like it was an absolute blast just to sit there and stack and do that. But now, I mean, I was reading through a lot of it. It looks really, really interesting. The one thing that I'm also excited about is that Raynor looks really, really, really fun. Though I did see Dunk Train had the exact same reaction that I had when I was reading through the talents, and I was just like, you gave a hero Executioner at level 1. Like, how are you gonna do that, Blizzard? Like, come on.
I mean, it's Jimmy. it's Jim Raynor. If anyone was ever gonna to get Executioner at level 1, it was probably going to be him. I did notice one bug though when I went onto the PTR.
Oh, really?
The description of the quest talent for his trait on level 1. You remember how in the preview for the rework they were calling it Acquire or Weak Spot?
Yeah.
And then they've actually changed it on the PTR patch to give them some pepper. But the quest text still describes it as Empower, Acquire, Weak Spot.
Ooh, so you know what? It might have been a last minute change, because the thing is, it's typed up on the patch notes on the website as give him some pepper. Is that right? To say that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's what the trait's now called.
Yeah,
but
so
but in the video when they first announced it, they called it Acquire Weak Spot. I know.
I don't know if it was just like a last second change or something, because like someone posted like a Reddit posted in one of the Discords that I'm in, and I was just like, what do you mean? Like because I had just read the patch notes, so I was like, yeah, like I copy pasted it. I'm like, yeah, of course they called it that. And like I guess like people are really like, I didn't even catch that it was a change. I was just like, yeah, it's a cool new name for it. Like what's the big deal? Oh yeah, well they didn't announce it that way, so it definitely is a lot cooler when you have it that it changed like that. But we are currently getting ourselves set up, and we are going to be going right back into Tomb of the Spider Queen. Another map. It was actually chosen by CCC as well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. We saw the game plan they had coming into that map, where they were really just looking for the heavy press into the choke points, into the narrow corridors that they had a lot of room to work with, and really executed quite well on that game plan. Their macro play, as much as you can get on Tomb of the Spider Queen, there isn't a ton of macro play that you can really do on the map because it's so small. But their decision making was very good, and they spiraled their lead out of control quite quickly. And that's something that you're going to need to watch for again in this first game. The game plan coming in out of the draft, and the game plan in their macro play as they move between the lanes.
I'm currently, I'm just sorry, I'm taking a moment to also just make a note of this so we know who's on what side here, as we are getting ourselves set up here in lobby for series number 2 between Team Maroon and CCC, and it looks like we're gonna have CCC on the left and Team Maroon's gonna be on the right. And then, yeah, we're just about set up, and I'm just super excited about this. I'm also just making sure that all my ducks are in a row, so we don't get into this. And I'm just like the entire time, just like Triple C on the right hand side. And it's like, no, wait, that's wrong.
It'd be pretty obvious by the time we got into naming the teams.
That yeah, well, there, yeah, whew, just. I mean, I've done that before for a draft. Yeah,
that's fair. But I mean, that's the advantage of having one team that we're following through the brackets. Like we know one team coming in, so we know the player names, we know what we're looking for, and at least at that point we can move forward. But I'm really curious to see if Triple C deviate from the same game plan that we saw in the previous series.
That is
true. The one thing I've noticed when we follow teams through the brackets, we tend to see very similar strategies. They don't like to show the pocket strategies until they have to in the later rounds of the bracket.
I'm sure the Ghoul Dan that was pointed out to us in draft, in the first game, some people might not know and some might. So it's really one of those things that, they might see the player and just be like, oh, this one player, I've played against them in Hero League and they body on this one here, don't allow it. It might be one of those situations, but at the same time, going to Tomb of the Spider Queen, I wouldn't be too surprised to see them try and get that Ghoul Dan again. If I see someone get called like, they're this hero god, I want to see that play so badly. And I'm really hoping that we see it here in this second series. Maybe Team Maroon doesn't know about that strategy just yet, but we'll find out here as we get the last player loading into our lobby, and then we'll be underway for draft in just a minute.
Yeah, so with Triple C on the map pick, we'll be seeing Team Maroon with the first pick and the first ban as a result, and I think that's going to tell us a lot about their intentions coming in. I think the last player that was getting in the lobby didn't quite fire, so a little bit more stalling from us here in the booth, but. I think you and I at this point are kind of used to that, between trying to get into the break, out of the break, get the lobby set up. It's tough setting up private matches in Heroes of the Storm, guys.
It's a little difficult sometimes, especially also just making sure we get all the map bans, making sure we get everyone. We do it in the correct way, so it's extremely fair. But the one thing I was going to ask you, did you happen to fiddle around with any of the triple bans that are going to be implemented into the game? Did you check out how that system works at all, or did you because you said you were over in the PTR?
Yeah, all I've read is the patch notes.
Okay.
So it is 2 bans, then first pick. So 4 heroes will be banned before the first pick once this update goes live. And I think you and I hinted on that a little bit in the first round, really, is how much that's going to change the meta, because you don't have to give up so much with your first ban, because when you've got a meta like right now where there's a lot of really high pick heroes that have priority, you could maybe take both your bans and really kind of narrow the market on the tanks.
Oh yeah.
Like, do 2 tank bans, and if you have first pick your top your top priority for a tank. And the same goes for support. The pools of viable heroes in both of those categories is not that deep, I think, in the current meta. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of these high priority bans in those pools, and a lot more alternate play coming out of some of the more niche heroes in the support and the tank roles.
Well, even then, like, for example, like when you get to maps like Battlefield of Eternity, we often see high priority into things like Hanzo, Lunara, anything that can just shred down the Immortal. And it's one of those things that, you have to make a decision. All right, do you want to ban out this tank that might be good into the composition that you plan on building, or do you ban out the map ban hero so the other team can't get it because they're probably going to pick it up if you let it go through this ban phase because they have first pick? So it's like, you don't need to, I wouldn't say worry, but the strategy is going to be completely different, because now it's like, all right, well, we can take things off the table that we know are going to be extremely powerful here, and now they need to play. They need to play this game where they can't play around the Immortal Burn, or they can't play around just the team fight. It's one of those things where they're gonna need to really kind of change up the draft and change up their own play style based on these newer changes. Because as you said, 4 heroes being banned out really changes things.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about Battlefield of Eternity in particular, Lunara, Artanis, Malthael, and Hanzo. Well, you can take all 4 of those off the board before you even start picking an actual hero. That's 4 of the best Immortal race damage gone. So what are you going to see now? Probably resurgence of volley. Even Jaina has the ability to really kind of shred that immortal with the frostbolt build. Just putting that frostbolt through with the sustain that we have on Jaina nowadays with the builds, and I think you're going to see a little bit more of that kind of play coming out with those kind of bans. But to me, that's a little bit small-minded, I think, to really kind of take all of those, the immortal race heroes off the board, because there's so many other factors on the map of Battlefield of Eternity. If we're just running with this example, and you've got heroes like Stukov that just excel at stacking crowd control up over the immortal fight with the stuns around them, the lurking arm coming in. There's all kinds of just pain everywhere coming in.
It's sorry, I'm just looking. We're getting one player added, then they just like drop out, and I'm like, is that it? No. Is that it? No. But no, that's a really good point. And the other thing too is, you're overlooking the biggest player that's going to be entering the Nexus when the new Hero League season starts, and that will be Jimmy Rightclick. With his executioner at level 1, he is going to be bodying the Immortals. I think Raynor is going to be seeing a huge resurgence into a lot of these maps where we're going to be seeing this, auto attack damage is going to be important. Things like Tracer might become a higher priority, and then we're going to see some higher mobility play, and to respond to the Tracer, then maybe we see that Lunara. And so there's a lot more different things that you see pop out here and there. And we're just currently waiting for the last player here. Okay, it looks like they're just clearing up the official. They're getting the official stuff like rolling here, like timers and such. So we're gonna keep talking about Here's the Storm. And at this point, you know what? My favorite thing to do, just to buy more time, is I always like to ask, how'd you get your name?
I got my name from a Hotmail account that I created that was well, it was kind of a cheeksy oxymoronic kind of phrase that I went with, and it kind of just stuck.
I like it because it's just like, it's one of those things that like you never know. Like some people are just like, oh yeah, like for example, like my friend, he actually had like his username passed down from his brother who stopped playing WoW, so he was like his little brother. So like it morphed from that, which is, it's those little really cool things that we can just kind of talk about here while we're getting our lobbies in order. But yeah, I mean, like mine, I watched my brother play Final Fantasy when I was a kid, and like Final Fantasy VII, Bahamut was like the coolest summon to me. Granted, Knights of the Round Table was really, really cool, but that doesn't really roll off the tongue like Knights of the Round Table gaming. Actually, that could work really well, actually. Need to really consider that.
Yeah, you might have missed out on an opportunity there.
Definitely. Just cornering the Final Fantasy summons market. That's definitely what we're going to be doing. We've informed. Okay, so sorry. They're confirming between the teams on what's going to be happening. They're currently the official what's happening is we are waiting on one player, and we're going to be just seeing if they can get into the lobby. Otherwise, I think we're going to be moving on throughout the bracket. So yeah, they're giving them the final moments here. I think we're just going to continue just to wait for them, and then yeah, we'll just figure out what they're going to be doing after the 5 minutes. I don't think that they're going to play with the AI. I think that's more of a like in-game, like it's happening now. I don't even think they allowed the game to go through if there isn't the 5th player. Yeah, you cannot start with the AI. Okay. And we are getting confirmation on that. But yeah, at this point, yeah, it's a waiting game for us.
Well, it's unfortunate too, because I thought I saw them joining at one point, and they just never confirmed in the lobby, and here we are waiting. And it's unfortunate because you never want to see that happen in a tournament setting. You never want a team to go down to a disqualification because somebody loses internet or whatever other reasons there are in an online competition.
Yeah.
And your internet goes out. I mean, your cat steps on your power button, which has happened to me before.
That's why you got to put all your power buttons above cat level, which is actually impossible because they get everywhere. Like there's nothing you can do to prevent cats from turning off your PC, probably.
Well, you can stop them from turning off your PC in Windows 10 because there's a setting to turn off your power button, but your reset switch,
that's true.
On the other hand, you would actually just have to pull off your motherboard. That's the only button that's actually active for.
Really? I didn't.
Yeah. Oh. You can change your power settings so your power button does nothing, but the reset switch, you'd actually have to unplug the jumper on the motherboard.
Oh, I thought you could set the reset switches as well. I see the one player join in here, everyone's excited, and then I just see an empty slot, and I'm like, oh no. Like I don't know what the okay. It looks like there's people confirming that I think the player is getting themselves back into this game, and we should be underway in just a second as they are trying to join the lobby once again. They are in. Hopefully we can get going here in just a second with them. Yeah, we've already got the R's. I can't wait for this. This is going to be an awesome match. We don't have to deal with a DQ. We don't have to go to another break. Yes, exactly. And so we are going to be heading into Team the Spider Queen. Let's get into this.
All right, so again, to remind you, Triple C in the blue on the left. They will be drafting second. Their opponent's Team Maroon in the red, drafting first here for Team of the Spider Queen. I think you and I were talking about this somewhere in the banter. Whether or not we'd see a target ban onto the Gul'dan early on in the draft sequence.
To be honest, in the first ban phase, I think it's definitely on Tomb of the Spider Queen. I definitely think you can ban out the Gul'dan, though you open up avenues for other things to be picked up. Like for example, Diablo. I think Diablo's really strong. It's just really just the big thing of just like, do you want to deal with the damage and the setup and the position that you can get from Diablo, or do you want to deal with the damage over time, the wave clear, the poison, the horrify as well? Like there's so many things to consider here, and if they do know that Gul'dan is a high priority or a comfort pick or just something strong for one of the players, I would consider taking it out, honestly. That's if I was on the side of Team Maroon, that's definitely what I'd be looking at right now.
Yeah, it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You either give up Gul'dan, who you know we've got intel is probably a very comfort pick of one of the players on the side of Triple C, or the Diablo, who we've seen actual empirical evidence is a strong hero on the side of Triple C. So two opportunities, I think, to pull that hero off the table is Genji is going to be the first ban coming in for Team Maroon. Triple C not snapping anything in here. They're going over their options. No big surprise to see Genji come off the board. Strong hero, very mobile, very much a pain for any kind of backline. So pretty standard first ban, really, Bahamut.
I like it. The mobility, the kind of the last little bit of extra damage that you can get. We saw a couple really good extracts come out in that last Team of the Spider Queen game, so just not something that they're going to want to deal with on the side of Team Maroon. But Triple C here looking for a ban. Do they shore up wave clear, or do they take out a healer? Like I think that those are the things that I'm considering. It's either like Stukov Malfurion or like Kael'thas Jaina. I think those are the two bans that I have in my mind right now. But it's actually the Diablo.
I'm okay with that. I think they might feel they might have shown a little bit too much in the first series, and I think they might actually probably go into the Johanna themselves. I have a funny feeling that might be the route that they're going to take here. They're comfortable taking the Diablo off because they're not going to play it themselves, obviously, and I think there's just enough knowledge about Yogurt's mechanical skill on the Diablo that they'd rather just keep that off the board for the other team, fall back on another kind of off-tank selection, maybe a Blaze for Yogurt, with another stronger solo offlaner for Fomalhaut on this map. Probably Leoric again, really, to be honest.
This is one thing that we didn't talk about, and so you mentioned the solo lane. You know, you mentioned Blaze, and I just was thinking about solo lane. We haven't seen a Yrel yet, and she is available for she's available for play. We are on the live server currently, but it's actually a first pick Blaze going to be coming out from Team Maroon, locking in their solo laner super early here on a map like this. I'm a little worried about that. I personally think picking like a main tank and oh my god, are they going to choke all?
Yep. Nope. It's just as good. It's the Oriel Gul'dan. I love this because I've seen the power of the Gul'dan Oriel compositions, even from back before Gul'dan turned into an actual thing. The amount of healing that Gul'dan can give Oriel in this composition is so solid. There is so much power in that Gul'dan as he ramps up through the talent tiers that it's kind of a no-brainer, especially with the ability of Oriel to top up her own hope reserves with the reworks over the months since her release. The the energized cord with the increased hope on the auto attacks, and even just the the clapping of the sacred sweep. Very, very good at keeping it up. But the front line for Team Maroon coming in as Garrosh and Hanzo make their appearances in the draft order.
I like this. So they're going to have a lot of poke from the Hanzo. Garrosh is something, we talked about this in the past where, you need to respect that range. And in 4-member rotations, you might be able to catch someone who's maybe a little too far out or, steps beyond their tank that's anchoring for the rotation. And I also like this. So they take out the Alexstrasza, who I think is really strong in these rotations. I think it's something they fear the most because you have that dragon form. It's really strong into a lot of these fights.
What?
I was screaming about it right when they picked the Ariel and the Gul'dan and the 1/2, and I'm like, that's a Cho'Gall. That is a Cho'Gall 100%, and that's what they went for. Like, I was just like, that's just what's happening. Like, that's whatever. We can talk about whatever Team Maroon is drafting because they now need to figure out something that's percentage based in the 4-member, which something like a Malthael wouldn't be horrible, something like a Tychus wouldn't be bad, but they don't really have big finishing damage, and they're also going to need a support. So this Cho'Gall is playing extremely strong for Triple C, in my opinion.
That is a perfect time to pick up the Cho'Gall. Through the ban phase, they didn't even need to show anything to take the percent damage off the board. They recognized that one of those last two had to be a support pick, and that gives them so much opportunity now to roll that Cho'Gall and have another Hope Generation battery for Oriel. There is no shortage of hope that's going to be coming in from that heal now. And it's going to be Deckard Cain. I like that. This crowd controllability of Deckard Cain is really, really high. But it's this last pick for Team Maroon. It'll be Jaina, no percent damage on the board. They're going to go for the wave clear. And I think they're just going to try and out-rotate the low body count of the Triple C comp here.
So what I really like about the Deckard is you can take Scroll of Identify at level 1 and...
My hatred is unending.
What? I wasn't expecting any of this.
I forgot Illidan was a hero because he's fallen so far out of the meta. He's been gone for 10,000 years.
What? I can see in all caps production just like we did it. Yes, like But anyways, all right, so just really quickly, I wanted to talk about, so the Deckard came with the Scroll of Identify. Level 1, once you finish those stacks, you'll actually have the armor reduction. I think that will play really, really well into the Cho'Gall Gul'dan. You can get that damage dumped out from the Jaina, and then Hanzo can be poking from the backline. A lot of good setup from Blaze, as well as Garrosh with the Warlord's Challenge, the Warlord's Challenge, as well as the Dragon Arrow from Hanzo's. A lot of good, setup, a lot of good stuns, and then you have the follow-up from Jaina. I wonder if we'll see Water Elemental, if we'll be getting the Ring of Frost for that kind of big blow-up, or do they just kind of go for the sustained damage? But the Illidan, and it's the thing is also, are you looking at who's on the Illidan?
I am. I will get into it when we introduce the teams. This is not really surprising from what we saw and what we've heard out of Triple C coming into this game. So we're gonna get ourselves all locked in here and introduce these teams, because it's really, really unsurprising, I think, as to who's on what. It's almost a game of who's on first at the moment. But we'll start out here on the left side. It's Triple C, your winners from the last match that we were following. Seth Lordson on the Gul'dan, Yogurt on the Illidan, Daeun on Oriel, Watcher is playing Cho, and Fomalhaut is on the Gall side.
And on the right-hand side, we are going to be having Team Maroon with Coca-Cola going to be on the Jaina, Sparky going to be on the Garrosh, Manzano going to be on the Blaze, Space Bacon going to be on the Deckard, and I can't see the name because there's chat right in front of it, but we are going to be having Edgar GL on the Hanzo.
I want to just let this first skirmish marinate because of how insane the composition is on the side of Triple C. It's a Cho'Gall comp, it's Oriel, it's Gul'dan, it's Illidan, it's everything you want in a game one that makes no sense.
It's interesting that we're actually going to be seeing Taskmaster from the Cho at level 1. That's not what I was actually honestly expecting. I was actually, or excuse me, from the Gall level 1, but we are going to be having the Gul'dan getting killed here right out the gate, as that will be Team Maroon really utilizing the ability to kind of lock down members here and just kind of blow them up with that Jaina.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about in the rotations. That 4-man for Team Maroon, really strong with the Garrosh, especially with the Kane as well. With the Heraldric Cube, the Scroll of Identify, there's so much opportunity to catch somebody in rotation. They did exactly that, taking out Seth Lordson on the Gul'dan and getting themselves a very quick 1-kill lead in the experience totals.
Getting that first kill too, it really, really helps them on the side of Team Maroon. Now, granted, Shogal does have a decent amount of wave clear themselves, but just getting rid of that little bit of extra is really, really useful for them. The other thing to note is that we actually have the Decker King going into the Sapphire at level 1 for that extra slow. Not going to be utilizing any sort of the armor reduction that you get with Scroll of Identify. Curious to see how they'll be able to play that into the later half here, maybe just looking for that, just that chase, the ability to just for Coca-Cola to get some of those extra ice lances out, just put some extra damage on some of these members. But Yogurt going to be sniffing out the Blaze, who's just about to finish this camp, and I think they might be able to steal it.
Well, it's tough too. You can see the rotations, both teams coming in as Bizano actually figuring out that Yogurt was in the bushes there. They get the kill on the Blaze. Really good rotation in for CCC. They're still fighting over this control point. Yogurt hanging on by a thread. Jaina going down in the back line as the Scroll of Identify comes in, but the camp and the skirmish ultimately going over to CCC as they swing the kills back in their favor by a score of 2-1.
That was awesome for them to go ahead and grab that. Yogurt was able to just sit there, sustain on the point, which is auto-attacking as well as just, being a nuisance and just maneuvering around it so they couldn't get all their ability shots and dumping the damage, as well as, just having Jaina trying to zone with the Blizzard, but it just did not work out. And having them come down here and now they're able to just push this bottom lane, and you can see how aggressive they are with this camp, as well as the Cho'Gall and the Ariel. They've got so much to charge at the Ariel with the crown on the Gall, or the Cho'Gall. Just, you can see the bar will go up instantaneously for her hope, as we're going to be having the Garrosh in top lane trying to soak that up, but they've already taken out the bottom fort on the side of CCC.
The changes to the experience off the structures in recent patches would have you think that kind of pressure wouldn't snowball into a lead, but here we are with a level and a third roughly in the bank for CCC compared to Team Maroon on the other side, because that whole fort went down. It wasn't just the wall they opened up. They dove in, they removed the well and the fort with that push, with just a single siege camp and a Cho'Gall Oriel just being absolutely blatant with the amount of pressure they put on.
And they're actually going to be getting this toss and this stun onto the Cho'Gall, but it's not working out for them. Like I'm looking at this and I'm just like, wow, this is really just going south, as they had some decent setup there, but they're not able to get any damage onto this Cho'Gall, and it's not working out for them, as sevens will be achieved momentarily for them. They have the ability for turn-in as well. They're looking to open up this top lane, I think, a little bit. If they can get a kill, that'd be huge for them, as it looks like that will be the Gul'dan falling once again. They're going to need to retreat for a little bit, and they don't have turn-in anymore, as Gul'dan did drop 6 of the gems needed for that last little bit of turn-in there.
Yogurt did pick up the Bruiser camp in the mid lane to get some pressure, force Team Maroon into responding to that one. It's going to be, I think, on CCC to goaltend a bit here. There are just enough gems on the side of Team Maroon to get a Webweaver turn-in and come back the other way. But you gotta get the sense that the throw onto Cho'Gall, if you can't fully isolate him from the support of Oriel, that all you're doing is putting Cho'Gall into the middle of your team where he can do Consuming Blaze, all of Gall's abilities, which just do so much area of effect damage. Sparky actually able to get the gems turned in on the bottom side and to be the first web weavers over to the side of Team Maroon. But again, this 4-man fight there of Coca-Cola in the backline, just about being obliterated. Sparky getting ground down eventually by the Cho'Gall. Oriel getting the final hit on that one. They get the web weavers, Team Maroon, but it feels like they're not going to get a ton of value here, as they do lose their front line in the skirmish.
It's such an early Webweaver phase too that I think they're going to be burned down. They might get a little bit of push into the, I was actually going to say bottom lane, but we already have Yogurt down here getting the clear onto this. And so this is the one thing that, I mentioned this and I'm still kind of like in shock. Like I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this game. and how it's still working, and they're about a level up as well. But they currently have the Diablo, who played 2 games consistently on the Diablo and did an amazing job. And now they're playing the Illidan in the solo lane. It's just like the flex that's coming out from the members of Triple C here, I think is really, really strong, as Cho'Gall is poking into this top lane, but the rest of the members are trying to get the clear into this web weaver. They get the gate, and it doesn't look like they get much more than that. No experience really going over in favor for the members of Team Maroon, as this web weaver phase has ended, and that is tournament available for the members of Triple C here. And I wouldn't be too surprised if they were looking for it themselves.
Yeah, and you can see Yogurt on the Illidan went right through to the bottom lane. Thought he might stop on the way through to turn those gems in, but I think he's going to get goaltended out of it now, as Team Maroon have got that full presence in the mid lane. They've recognized where the gems are on the side of Triple C, as the groundbreak request for Garage coming in the middle there. Dayun's actually in trouble there. Oriel goes down. Cho'Gall vulnerable here. Will find a way across the line. The Taskmaster shove able to get him just over the line there before they go down. But that's the type of engage that Team Maroon are really looking for there. They have to take out the support of Oriel behind that Cho'Gall. It's no good to bring Cho'Gall into the middle of your team, because Oriel's support is going to be just dropping the heals constantly.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, they were able to get that there. Blaze actually going to get the jet propulsion out. They do not want to fight into this Cho'Gall once again. 10 talents, though, being achieved. We don't have Metamorphosis from the Illidan. We actually have the Hunt, which is going to be very fun to see who is unprepared. As we get into this, it's 10-9. I wouldn't be too surprised to see if they look for a fight on the side of Triple C, and that's exactly what they're doing, as Sparky is the apple of their eye. The Hunt goes in onto them, and that will be a kill onto the Garrosh. They continue to push this in, and they also, just to note, they still have enough for turn-in. Illidan maybe is going to go... Okay, I was thinking solo boss now. Are you going to go turn in? What you doing, Yogurt? And it looks like they're going to go stack up some more gems, looking to get 50 for just the turn-in themselves, maybe?
I'm actually interested to see that Oriel's still holding on to the heroic choice there. The Twilight Hammer twisting Nether combo out of the Cho'Gall. I love that combo. It's one that I play very, very frequently with my brother. The ability to come in, disrupt somebody's positioning with Twilight Hammer, and then the twisting Nether to just be this big glowing ball of energy in the middle of a composition, causing so much chaos, which is, you know, one of Gull's favorite words, I'm sure.
Chaos! As we do actually get the web weaver phase coming down for the members of Triple C here. We have also production just mentioning they're going to go revive. As I'm looking here, Ariel has not taken her level 10 yet, so we're going to be seeing what she's going to be picking up here soon, maybe? I don't know if they're holding it for entertainment value, if they're actually considering it, but I'm really, really excited about this, as the top web weaver's been cleared out already. Mid has pushed up a bit, and bottom lane's a little too far forward for them to really want to go down there, so it looks like they're going to regroup and maybe poke in for a fight.
The danger right now of looking for a fight, Triple C closing in on 13, they won't get enough this push, but if there's an engagement that comes in that Team Maroon aren't able to win, if they lose that little bit of a skirmish to an early pick, 13 is going to come real quickly, and then the route just might be on. And you see Illidan with that Hunt, able to go out to this lane and start grinding down that fort with the support of the minion wave that's with him there. This, I think, is the reason we saw the Hunt versus Metamorphosis, that split laning capability out of the Illidan, forcing a response in rotation and letting his team pull themselves into a more advantageous position on the map.
And I like how you pointed that out. The other thing to consider too is that it's such a small map that Hunt is almost global, because the range on it isn't the biggest on Earth, but this isn't also the biggest map that this is actually one of the smallest maps in the game. Looks like though they're not able to... Oh my god, did they take it? Oh my god, they took it.
That is Resurrect.
All right, well, full meme. Yep, production confirmed it. Full meme. Yeah, that's all right. All right. Well, we are going to be having a web weaver turn-in phase for the members of Team Maroon. 13-11. This might be able to kind of buffer them into that 13 range, and I think that's what they're really, really looking for here, as they are kind of playing really tight to their web weavers as they descend.
Here's the real question that I'm thinking. Are we going to actually see Cho'Gall die for Resurrect to be of any value?
Oh, please. Don't just die just to use it. But I feel like we're going to see one of those moments where they're just going to go in real hard, and they're just like, we've got it. Like, we can fight this, and if we lose it, we can still, you know, we can just come right back up and take the fight, as it looks like we have the toss going in. There's a huge Hanzo arrow. We have the Twisting Nether that will be the Illidan falling here, but the Horrify does come out. Resurrecting is going out onto the Illidan, so they're right back into this fight. The Lornado is out as well. Ariel will be falling here. No more healing is going to be coming out. The Hun is instantly there, but Coca-Cola was the target, but it's instantly going to just kill the Illidan, and it looks like the Meme Dream is getting pushed in, and the Web Weaver and bottom stacking up is going to get a lot of value here.
That is the fight that Team Maroon was looking for beyond a shadow of a doubt. They get 4 members. Sorry, I thought they actually got the Shogal. They almost got the Shogal. Shogal's still standing there, but they got the 2 important members there in the Illidan and the Oriel, and they've reopened up the map on their other side. They get 2 forts out of the 1 Web Weaver push, and there's a lot of minions in that bottom lane. There's still a lot of room there for them to really be able to push down towards that keep, although Seth Lordson on the Gul'dan able to clear it out real quick. More importantly, though, they got a number of gems off the board. Illidan going down, they didn't get picked up either, and that all of that reservoir of gems on the side of the blue team right now in Triple C, all of that just went away with that team fight. And now they have to really kind of set themselves back up in the lane rotation to try and find that advantage game, especially now that on even talent here, they can't go in with impunity.
I'm like holding my breath a little bit. They've got the spell armor from the mage in the middle, and it looks like they want to set themselves up for a gank here. 14 to 14. Doesn't look like, you know, there's no big significant advantage. Just Cho'Gall pushing up in this lane consistently, gonna keep using that bombs away. Also getting that just the instant ability to just cast it again over and over again. With the cooldown reduction hitting heroes here, and you can see them just poking them down, whittling them away, as well as getting some wave clear with that as well. And this is just, you know, it's this poke forever, but they need to look for a turn-in with 1 member. 53 gems have been turned in on the side of Triple C. They only need 2 more for this next Web Weaver phase, and they definitely want to block this as they, you know, continue to use the Hanzo for poke. And they're actually going to be setting their sights on turning in here, which might be a bit of a downfall for them. They can get the Illidan to get the last couple gems in.
Well, the Illidan at the top lane actually stretching the XP lead back out. They've gone straight into Coca-Cola, caught the Jaina out of position, and there goes Jaina, caught out by Yogurt and the rest of the team in Triple C, but counter kill on Daeun. They're going for the full engage now as Twilight Hammer and Twisting Nether come out. All members of Triple C are low here. It's just a matter of time before one of them goes down. Yogurt, though, able to stay alive, and the poke from Seth Lordson able to push Team Maroon away. They go 1 for 1, but the turn-in is good, and this should be enough to get them to level 16.
16's on the cusp. They're going to be moving with these Web Weavers down the lanes. They've got their Cho'Gall. They don't have Ariel just yet. 10 seconds on their support, who I really like the plays that have been coming out from Team Maroon. They've been really focusing that support in a lot of these fights, and you can see that there's once Ariel goes down, there's a bit of a disengage. They definitely, you know, they play a little aggressive still on the side of Triple C, but Team Maroon, I think, knows that they can't continue to sustain and fight these things out. So they're definitely just, you know, playing it a little bit safe. But they got this turn-in phase. Ariel going to be rotating into top lane. They want to take this top lane keep. That is potentially game ending here. If not that, maybe with the boss in the future, as the Web Weaver's only sitting at about half health.
You want to talk about game ending? Let's talk about the level 16 talent choices for Cho'Gall. Surging Fist, which makes Cho'Gall unstoppable while he's channeling the punch, and the Deafening Blast on the Runic Bomb, which is going to go in and silence 2 members. Was looking for a 3 spot there, but that kind of utility on the side of Cho'Gall is going to be frustrating to deal with as the engage comes in. Hanzo arrow on the retreating side of Triple C. Oh, the Cho'Gall just going in. Illidan on the backside. They're grinding everybody down as health bar is super low for Cho'Gall and Illidan, but man, they're just able to stay alive with that Oriel healing. They're winning the fight. It's Hanzo down. Everybody's low on the side of this keep, but they might not be able to get there. Nope, Blaze down, Sparky down, and that is going to be a keep on the side of Triple C.
With 30-some seconds on on 3 heroes, I don't expect this to be... I don't know, are they going to try and end off this? Like, I would actually think that they could probably try to, but it doesn't look like that's the goal. They're going to maybe back off for the boss at this point. Stepping up a little bit again, just maybe to get the staggered death onto the onto the Jaina there. But it looks like, yeah, the Cho'Gall is going to be going over for the boss at this point. They'll have that pushing down the top lane. They won't need much more, you know, they'll need like 4 lanes of gems to basically get a turn-in on top of this, so they can just rotate out, get a couple waves, and then get web weavers back to back with this boss. And I gotta say, Triple C, they're playing this really, really strong, but Team Maroon is giving them a run for their money. Definitely, you know, putting up some roadblocks here, trying to stop them. And I think it's just one good fight for Team Maroon. They can really start to switch the snowball.
Oh, look at the bush meta. Look at the bush meta. They're looking to try and let the boss go by. Cho'Gall
stepping up.
They're gonna go. They're gonna go for
himself.
Cho'Gall. He's completely alone here. 5 members down. Oh, the throw is no good. The blizzard doesn't land. And that's gonna be the surging fist out. The counter engage. Oh, they get him.
Oh, I get the kill into Cho'Gall, but he's currently going to be resurrected. There's going to be the Horrify that comes out, as well as the Garrosh falling here. We have the Blaze getting so low, trying to get onto the Ariel. They will confirm that kill. Bunker's going to be coming down at this time. Currently, Coca-Cola going to be jumping there right from the ice block, but the silence out from Cho'Gall confirms 2 more kills, as we also have Illidan doing some work over by the core, and it looks like with 4 members down, they will move on to the core. The meme team, the meme dream, whatever you want to call it, looks like it's going to be taking game number 1 on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, unstoppable on Surging Fist is absolutely nuts.